Hello. It's hot. Good morning, evening, afternoon, etc. I hope everyone is having a pleasant Wednesday. As already alluded to, it is quite warm in the UK today. I'm glad I'm stuck in a very small room with a PC and lights for several hours, but I'm sure we'll make a good time of it. Queco, resubs for 6 months, much appreciated. Okay, so why is that not coming through? Hang on. My terrible setup is doing annoying things. Where's me chat? Alright, let's try it again. Thanks for the stream, you are welcome. We haven't restarted yet, but I appreciate the positive energy. Hello. Why Lua? Why not Lua? It's easy, it's simple. I have some experience in embedding it before, so as a kind of thing I'm prepared to stand up and do in front of a load of people, I feel slightly more confident doing it. Could be fun, could be terrible. Remains to be seen. Hey Emery. Yeah, more casual dress day. I don't know why is... Okay, I have to stop and kill this app. My chat app, which combines all the chats together, is not. And I don't want to lose anyone. Seems unfair. I'm gonna press this button before I forget. Let's get myself in the corner where I belong. Balatro was written in Lua. Yeah, it was Love 2D. I have a video on Balatro. Right. YouTube. Okay, that's there. Let's try that. Might need a message on Twitch to see if I fixed my setup. There's at least 4 of you there. Nice, okay. Yes, Lua is all stack based, so you just push stuff to a stack and then do stuff and then take stuff off the stack. So it's nice and simple. My plan for today is to build Lua, which I'm hoping won't take too long, but we need to build it, integrate it into the project, and then I want to set up basically a set of tests. We're basically going to be driving it through tests to start with, to build out the mechanics of it. I want to, in my mind, kind of probably do 2 abstractions. One is a kind of a tightly coupled C++ abstraction over the C. So Lua interpreter is all in C, right? So I want to provide a C++ wrapper around it, which kind of basically mimics their API, but with the vocabulary types that we want to use. So rather than using C types, it uses C++ types. So string views and stuff, and the fixed width integers and stuff like that. And then I want to probably use some maybe a little bit of templating to make that a little bit nicer overall, to provide like a higher level abstraction. And then after that, I want to integrate some of our game primitives already. So like vector 3, I want to be able to just use that within Lua, and that just calls into the C++. The kind of game we're making is not that performance intensive, so I'm not too fussed around the performance of the... I'm not fussed about super optimizing the Lua bindings, right? I'd much rather have a cleaner and easier to use interface to make the code easier, and then we can improve it from there. We'll see if we get to ranges. I don't think we're going to need any, but I mean, I say that often, and we'll see. Okay, so let's start. So to start with, like, I have the Lua reference manual open, which we'll be using a fair bit, and then I have there is a I think what they call it, a copy of this development branch on Git. So that's where we're going to be starting. I'm going to pull in this code. So let's just get ourselves down to one window. So let's open up the CMake file. So we've got a bunch of this fetch content stuff already. So what we want to do is do fetch content to care, and then steady Lua, and then do Lua, and then get the Git repo. Right. And then the Git tag, I believe they have a version already, a v5.4.7. v5.4.7. So that should kind of be enough to get us going. So what this does is this is just a CMake primitive, I guess, which will automatically check out code for you as fixed version. So we should be able to run this, and it should, in the first instance, just check out the code. It won't build it because there is no CMake file here. Lua doesn't use CMake, so kind of on our own to start with. If it did have CMake, then fetch content declare integrates a lot nicer with that. But here we are. Let's just see if this builds first and checks it out. Okay, so rebuild that. Check how to save the file, my usual trick. So the end goal of this is once we've done all the integration, which I think might bleed over into 2 streams, 3 maybe, depending on how much faff it is to integrate the types. I then want to gut all the level loading code we've got and replace it purely with Lua. So we can then just define levels and the logic of the levels in terms of Lua scripts. And then I think we're kind of ready to ship something for people to have a play around with, and maybe even write some of their own. I'm kind of happy for people to mess around with this a bit. Okay, so in our deps directory, which is where CMake checks out everything, there should be a Lua source. Okay. Deps and Lua source. So this is all the files in the Git, and you'll notice that it just has I think it has a make file. Make file? Lowercase make file, absolutely outrageous. But I think from because I have done some of this before, if memory serves, you should be able to just compile the one Lua C file, I think. Yeah, this includes C files, which is kind of outrageous, but I guess it works. This is a little bit like, if anyone's ever looked at SQLite 3, what they call the amalgamation, where they take in SQLite 3, all the code is split across different C files, but they have I want to say it's like a build process, which amalgamates them all into one massive single C file. And this is kind of doing like that, but just with preprocessor. So what we should be able to do is I don't know, after all this, we should be able to do something like add library Lua static Lua source dir, right? So this is a special variable that CMake creates from the fetch content, which will point to that source directory we just saw, and then we should be able to just compile one lua.c into this library, and then this will just allow us to link it in a second. So then we go CMake source, somewhere at the bottom where we do target include directories, blah, blah, blah. Here, with all these, we should in here be able to do Lua. See if that blends. I collapse. Just keep streaming for the ads. Just keep watching. I'll get up eventually. Sure did. do something. I was expecting that to have actually built it. I mean, we'll get a link error soon, but I also need the header files. Okay. A little bit concerning, it's not done anything yet, but it hasn't errored, which is strange, but let's... What are we going to do? Let's start writing the code, and then when it gets grumpy, we'll fix it. So I want to... You think it did link against Lua? Cool. Okay, I didn't see it, but I'm happy to believe it. So let's do source scripting. And then in there we can do sorry, hang on, let me just cp source graphics scripting. Right, and then we can do scripting. Okay, ps source scripting. Let's just do Lua script.h. So let's just start giving this some sort of shape. All right. And then hash include Lua. See, I was expecting to have a Lua access some sort of Lua.h there. Why is it not found that? I guess because I've not told it. Target include directories. Here we go. All right, I probably want to do Lua source dir. And do I think most of the examples you still include the specific headers you want. You just compile it via one. No, you need to compile. You can't include one lua.h because that will bring in all the C files, which you definitely don't want, and that will effectively recompile them all within your translation unit. My head's in the way. Yes, hold on. Let's just try. So basically what I'm trying to get to is something like class Lua script. Okay, public private, and then I want a stood unique pointer of our, I think it's called like a Lua state. And I'll explain what that means in a second. Where is it? Lua L new state. Lua state. Lua state, and that'll be the Lua object. Okay. And then e tests. Sorry, and then we're gonna need a Lua script constructor, and then e source scripting Lua script.cpp. I'll bring that in. Lua script Lua script namespace game include. Does it have a def state? It's a pointer. So basically what you do is you call Lua new state, or Luel, it's French, Luel new state, and it gives you back a pointer to the state object, which is allocated. Alternatively, you can use just new state and pass it an allocator, but I don't care for this. I'm kind of happy just to get this back. And then you have to call like Lua close. So we're going to use the custom deleter of the unique pointer to clean that up when we get there. So Lua script. Let's just see if we can get this to blend first. So let's read. Okay. So that should be that, and then back to the root, the source CMake. MNOPQRS. Okay. Have I included a C? Right. I do not want that. Thank you. Why has it found that? Am I just looking in the wrong place? Hang on. Is there like a subdirectory that I need to look in? Oh no, there's a Lua.h. How strange. Okay, let's actually, this could be a ClangD thing. Let's actually just churn this through the compiler and see what happens. It's gonna rebuild everything. Great. Just habit, like I just started. Sometimes I don't think about it. Indeed, AC Lua scripting. We're going to give it a go. Okay. Use of undefined type Lua state. It definitely can't. So here's the thing, right? This is interesting because unless I've just typoed it. Can't find Lua state, but it does seem to be okay with including Lua.h, otherwise that would fail out before. How do you begin with learning this wizardry? Trial and error. I've been doing this for about a decade, and as you'll see today, I'm still figuring a lot of this out. It's just trial, error, bit of pattern matching. Is the state in Lua.h? Unless it's not, that is a great question. Let's have a look. What other magical headers might we need? There's Lua lib. Ooh, colour me intrigued. So colour me intrigued. Oh my goodness! Right, Lua lib. Which Lua scripting framework using? I mean, I'm just bringing in like Lua, like lib Lua, and we're gonna build our own little mini framework over the top of it because I think it's interesting. I think there's stuff to be learnt by kind of doing it the slightly harder way. Yeah, exactly. You just make mistakes and try and not make them again. Like my view on learning anything or doing anything is to make 1,000 non-fatal mistakes and try and not make the same mistake more than once. And then kind of, if you can dedicate enough time to something to make 1,000 mistakes, non-fatal mistakes, then you're probably in a pretty good place. I don't think, like, this is a pointer, right? So it doesn't matter. Like, I want to point to this. This is equivalent to Lua state pointer, so it doesn't really matter if it has a default state or not. So what's the error now? Why is it saying you can't? Use of undefined type Lua state. So we've also got, where is the Lua state defined? We'll get there in a minute. There is an else state though. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Maybe I just need to include that. It's not because it's not Lua X. It's L orcs lib. Oh, hang on, what's going on? L orcs lib, Lua lib. Lua state's an L state. Okay, maybe we just need to include that then. It's definitely finding the headers, right? Okay, so I'm not too fussed about that. Lua X, Lorx lib, and Lua lib. That's right. I think we're there. Oh, interesting. I've just no. I know. I think I know what the issue is. I think we do want these. I think we want this. Okay, fine. Here's the state. They are C headers, so we should treat them as that. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying that's for declared, so I need to do the whole trick of just, I need to do the script like that, and then the script. Okay, fine. I don't really understand, like, why that doesn't work, because yeah, no, I know we need Lua close. Right, okay, fine. Let's just, I'm faffing around now. I'm not making any progress. So let's just include the state, because we know that's what we need. Can I just include that? Because I'd rather just include the headers we need. Okay, that's fine. So I say it's fine. So I don't need this. And I think I just... state.h. Okay, get rid of this. Yeah, and then we'll need to do decal type Lua close. Which will allow us to pass it into the custom destructor. Else state is not Lua state. Oh, I see. Sorry, thank you. I really didn't think this would take this long. I thought we'd be on to actually doing the meat of it. I've got it. Okay, fine. What's all this hot mess about? Oh my goodness. A member of a class template cannot acquire a function type. What grim error? What's this mean? So it knows that it's right. So it's got void Lua state pointer, right? So this is oh, thanks. This is what I'd expect, right? I want the object to be the thing that it owns and effectively maintains internally pointed to, and then the destructor to be something you pass that pointer to destruct it. What is it actually? Oh, yes, I bet you're right. We've had this before. Yes. No. Is it? Is it because I've not? Wait. Oh, line 14. That's because I've not actually called it. Okay, fine. So now we should be able to do Lua new state. All right. Is that what I need, or do I pass in the questions? I think that's fine because it will just destruct on the thing. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Let's see if that blends. Did I miss the deleter? Yes, I did. So that is then Lua close. I think I now need all these other ones. So this would be like include lorcs.h. What all the other ones that people were suggesting were lorcslib and include lualib.h. Oh, right, okay. Link error. Okay, I'll fix that in a second if it's needed, but let me main already defined. Hey, what have I? Resource packer, one or more multiplied defense. Oh, I know what this is. I know what this is. I know exactly what this is. I think you have to add, there's a target somewhere you have to add which says only build it as a library. Otherwise it includes a main. Definitions, Lua, private, make lib. So the problem is the source code somewhere in that one, or through all the transitive includes of that one Lua.c, there's a main, which then clashes when it brings it into as a static library into our game. And hello. Yeah. just a few runes to draw in the sand. Okay, right. Now I should be able to fix up my tooling. And we should be the script. Right, all quiet on the Western Front. Okay, let's... So now we need to do some error handling. Oh, someone said, why do I include the same thing in the CPP file if it's already included in the header? I try to follow the principle of include what you use, because effectively what that does is it avoids the issue of transitive includes. By including the header file here, right, I am implicitly, or through the preprocessor, including everything here, but it's a transitive include, right? I'm getting these things transitively through this. So if this was to ever change, right, and the CP file relies on it, I would lose that include, and then I'd have an error, so I then have to go and fix it. Whereas if I just include everything I need, then I remove that error. So I'm going to have quite wide contracts for this because the assumption is that Lua scripts are user provided, and I don't trust any of them, and I don't want to trust any of them. So all these contracts are quite wide. We're going to quite aggressively check things as we go along, rather than maintaining a narrow contract and just asserting. So I want to ensure Lua, right, and then fails to create Lua state. Error. Sure. Okay. Well, I don't think that's an issue. Yeah, I'm not a CMake expert, so it's very hard for me to kind of provide advice through it. Like, I know enough CMake to be dangerous, and that's not necessarily a good thing. I often struggle with like what is good and idiomatic CMake. I think there is a book written by one of the authors or maintainers of CMake, which is supposed to be pretty good. My CMake could be better. I just kind of picked up stuff along the way. So, like most things, make 1,000 non-fatal mistakes. Okay, so where are we from here? So now what I want to do is do tests, Lua script tests.cpp. gtest, hash include, scripting Lua script, test Lua script, simple, search for false, and then CMake tests Lua script tests.cp. What is intended to be driven in Lua? My aim is to do like the level loading and kind of the level logic to start with. So the initial placement of what we've currently got, the barrels, the logic that determines how they move, the win state. I kind of want to just shift all that over to Lua so we can rapidly iterate through a bunch of levels. Unclude, yeah, it's how you get rid of something. I'm gonna write a paper for uninclude. CMake build and tests, unit tests. Lua. But I think because we're not that, I think, performance sensitive in what we're doing, at least to start with, I think we can offload, I'm hoping we can offload a fair amount of the game logic to Lua, and then just use kind of the C++ for the rendering and the kind of gluing the stuff together. I think that might be kind of fun. Okay, so scripting. So what I want to do is just simple script. Okay. So I want to take a stood string view. Okay, that's what I want. This is going to be tricky. I don't know if we're going to be able to use string view because it's a C API under the hood, but we'll see where we get to. So I want to be able to do, this is just to test it, right? I want to be able to do game, Lua script, print, no, hang on, what's it? Is it R? What's the string literal syntax? I can remember what it is. Okay, R. That's it. And then something like that. There you go. So that should not throw, and it. And print out hello world. Obviously, we can't assert that it prints hello world because it goes to stood out. I'm not going to capture it. I'm just using this just to kind of drive the first. We might even end up removing this test. I'm not sure. I'm just using this just to kind of drive the development. Will this be archived? Yeah, it's all up on YouTube afterwards, so you can always go back and watch it. Can you capture the stood out of Lua? I didn't think you could. If you can, let me know. I'm interested in knowing, but I didn't think you could. Yeah, that's what I mean. The next thing to do would be to push a variable to it, multiply it by 2, and return and put it back. Like call a function which does like an add or a mult or something. I didn't think you could easily capture the stood out in Lua, but I'm prepared to be wrong because again, amongst other things, I'm not a Lua expert. But that's kind of like sure. Like I appreciate you can override it, but then that's kind of a lot of machinery for like a simple test. Yeah, I want to be able to just say print hello world and just kind of verify that. So I don't want to start rewiring stuff. Those feel like more complex tests later on. It doesn't really matter. Let's just keep going. Anyway, I'm having a bad time anyway. Oh, is it because I've not actually declared it in the CPP file yet? Right. All right. Oh, hang on. What am I doing? What am I doing? Is that? No, wait a minute. That is right. Sorry. Yeah, I mean that's going to be the next test is literally is to pull out a variable. I think just before we get to like the stack and doing all the C++ code that kind of binds to that, like I want to be able to just check I can execute a script that has it and check the side effect. But if it's more hassle than it's worth, we will eventually end up doing all the complex stuff anyway. So I'm not too fast. It was just more of amusing. Someone said they put it in the Discord. Let me look. Excuse me. Where is it? How to capture? Oh, okay. So there is a Google testing for capturing stood out. Interesting. Maybe we'll give it a go. Let me just see if get the bloody thing to build first. Okay, so it's unreferenced, that's fine. Okay, so now we need to do a bunch of gubbins to the Lua state. So we need to do Lua open libs. So this registers all the default libraries, like things like the print and the maths and stuff, into that state object. And then we want to, so now I want to do, here's the interesting bit. So I want to, it's gone. Right. Loads of string as a Lua chunk. So a chunk, I think, it's a Lua term for like a blob of code that it can compile and interpret. So I'm not worried about files. I want to do it with strings to start with, because in my mind the file system is just an abstraction over getting a string, and we could implement that later. But to save having to create temporary files, do all the testing stuff, it's easy to do with string. But the issue is this. It expects a zero terminated string, but string view is not guaranteed to be null terminated. It probably is, but it's not guaranteed. So what I want to see is if there a way of doing this in a slightly more verbose but safer way. There will need to be some stack management, and I will just check the docs on everything we call and what needs doing. So this is going to be a lot of reading the docs and implementing it. I don't want to put that emphasis on a user though, like not as in like a user of the class to have to remember to put a null byte in there. That's really weird precondition. I would rather them just be able to pass a std string in, but it does call Lua load. So I'm wondering if there's some, and this takes a void data, right? And then a reader. Loads a Lua chunk without running it. If there are no errors, pushes the compiled chunk as a Lua function on top of the stack. Otherwise, it pushes an error message. You can't check the last character and add it, right? Because the whole point is string view is a non-owning view. I want to do it without allocating another string just to pass it in here. Well, what I'm thinking is I can just provide my own reader, right? Use the user specified reader function to read the chunk. So what's the interface of this? Void data and size, right? So I can just provide one of these, I think. But then concatenating is an allocation, right? I want to just take there is no cstr on string view, right? Because it's not guaranteed to have a null terminated string. This is the danger with string view, right? There is no CSTRA, there's only data, because it's not... There's actually, I don't think it even says it on this page. So I think just passing my own loader in through this is fine. Yeah, stood string view is not guaranteed to be null terminated because it doesn't need it. The whole point is that reached a goal. Exciting. The whole point of a null terminating string is is to be able to tell the computer where a string ends. That is the point of it. The point of a string view is to encapsulate some arbitrary length of characters and the size, so you don't need the null terminator. Now, obviously, it can include it because it's just a character, but the design of string view is such that it's just a pointer and a size, effectively. Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind writing more tests for more code. I'm just trying to find... I'm sure it says... Constructed view of the null terminated character string, blah, blah, blah. Somewhere in here it definitely says it. Maybe it's in data. There you go. Unlike basic string data and string literals, basic string view data returns a pointer to a buffer that is not necessarily null terminated. Therefore, it is typically a mistake to pass data to a routine that takes just a const char star and expects a null terminated string. So I think we can work around that. Right. So more of a philosophy thing. I would rather talk in terms of vocabulary types that make sense and make the interface easy to use and bury the misery in the implementation detail. So I want the whole game to talk in terms of fixed width integer types, vectors, strings, string views, spans, that kind of thing. I don't want to make this worse because of what I have to pass it into. So this is I guess it's kind of my decision, but like hopefully this is interesting for people to see how and approach this problem, and then how we're gonna fix it. So what I want is a Lua reader, which is a function which it will call, and this will be passed as data. So this is going to get pretty grim, by the way, because what I think we're going to end up having to do is what's it? Oh, hang on. I've just realised this might not even work for us because it still expects it to return a const char star. Oh, and okay. The reader must return a pointer to a block of memory with a new piece of the chunk and set size to the block size. So I think that's fine. I think the stream will be... it's impossible to say. I don't know. So it's going to be what? Const char star. Can I do it with... Can I define it as a... Lua reader. Okay, fine. So const char star, I guess load string view. Lua state. I do like how state is in uppercase L. And then typically it's a pointer called L as well. Void data the size t size. Okay. So we've got that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to call Lua load lua.get load string view, and then I believe data is the thing I pass to it. So that's going to be reinterpret cast void star source. What is the chunk name? Gives a name to the chunk, which is used for error messages. So sorry, a few messages come in. Oh yeah, auto-const jar. Let me fix that. Sorry, I've been there. Good point. Yeah, I don't know what to... Maybe we should also have a name. I'm just trying to think what... I don't know if they can... if there's a clash of chunk name. Also, I don't know what they call it internally if you don't provide it. I'm building an engine for a game, as in, like, I'm building a game from scratch, or trying to build a game from scratch. It's not supposed to be a generic engine. It's supposed to be just the minimum-ish code that we need. Whatever, let's just call it, like, I just want to... Subject to change. Again, I'm kind of happy to make mistakes and fix them as I go along. And what's the mode? So the last one is the... So I'm just looking through here. The Lua load, we've got the chunk name. I might auto-generate that based on some sort of incrementing integer, or maybe pass it in, or whatever. It could be the file name eventually, I don't know. What's mode? The string mode works as in function load, with the addition that a null value is equivalent to the string BT. Cool. Thanks. What does BT mean? Not the best docs. Guess null pointer then? If in lieu of anything else? In lieu of anything else. Okay. So now what we can do is we should be able to do... It's interesting it passes through the Lua state. I don't think we're going to need that. Const auto sv equals reinterpret cast third string view. That's not grim. Okay, we can get the string view out. All right, and now we should be able to do size equals sv size, return data sv data. Is that not size t? The string mode controls whether the chunk can be text or binary. That is a precompiled chunk. Maybe the string B, only binary chunks, T, only text, or BT, both binary text. The default is BT. I kind of feel like I should be explicit and just tell it it's only T, and so rather than like the British telecommunication provider, I feel like it should just be T. Size is a pointer. Thank you. Got it. I'm glad I inspired you. I wouldn't suggest you shouldn't get a job, but I'm glad that you're having fun and learning new things. Okay, so that's pretty grim, but basically I think it achieves what I want to achieve, which does elide the need for an additional string copy, whilst also not necessarily requiring a null pointer. Of course, the whole thing could explode when we run it, which is fun. Okay, so Lua load. The return value is either okay or something else. So let's do if no, hang on, we're doing ensure doesn't equal Lua okay. Failed to load string. Load string. Failed to load Lua source. Are we happy with that? Let me just close this window so it's a bit easier to see. Does OpenLibs return an error? No, it is indeed a void function. Don't you need a size and data in the header? Don't think so. Don't. Which header? The Lua script header. I don't think I need to capture that at the moment because it's literally there purely just to smash into the Lua code. Oh, and then afterwards. So here's something we can check. We can check that if we load something that's not valid Lua, I think this should tell us, because what you have to do is you have to call Lua pcall. I have a few, like, as you can probably tell, I have a few like windows and stuff off screen. Lua.get 0, 0, 0, right? So what this does, Lua pcall. Ooh, steady. Lua pcall. So Lua pcall is how you call a function, right? This is what it does. If you invoke it after you've loaded the script, it will then affect. This is what will pass the script and execute it and load those functions or any. Sorry, this is what actually execute the script. So if you have defined a bunch of functions which you want to call later, you have to still execute the script once, which effectively loads those scripts into the state, and then we can call them afterwards. So we will always effectively, as part of the construction of the object, we will always execute the script. If the script just has a bunch of functions that we want to interact with later, then they won't get executed, but they'll be loaded, ready to execute. And then, yeah, I think it puts an error on the stack if it fails. But we're just going to throw an exception anyway, so we're kind of out at this point. Like, we failed to construct this object, so we should just clean up the Lua state. So, also, that's wrong. That should be equals Lua, okay, right? Failed to initialize script. I think that's all we need, right? So yeah, so I should have mentioned this before. This is an excellent point from Harand. There's kind of two ways of doing this, right? You could create the script, the state once, globally or per whatever time frame, and then stick stuff into it and call it, or you could create it every time you need one. I've opted for this method because I think it's conceptually simpler. I don't have to worry about lifetimes or, you know, anything like that. It's all self-contained. Like, if I can construct a Lua script object, then I can interact with it. That being said, my plan is to not construct one every frame. I will load one per level and then interact with it from there. So, because there is an overhead. All this is expensive, right? Doing all this string passing and reading and writing and building the VM and compiling it and jitting it and all that sort of gubbins. So this is slow to do in a hot loop, so my plan is just not to do it in a hot loop. If I need to do it in a hot loop, then I will refactor it and maybe have some sort of different construct. But for me, again, this is, in my relentless march to just build a game, I think this is the right call now. And then in 4 streams time when it's not, we will fix it. Doesn't look great. Hey? Yeah, I mean, you should probably use a library like this. I think someone recommended Sol last time, but I want to do it from scratch because I think it's fun and I think there's stuff to be learnt around it, and I think it creates an interesting discourse. What have I? Why did that spin indefinitely and forever? I will need to pop the result off. I've realised that because I might want to use it afterwards. This is just in this case here. It didn't throw though, right? So unless the test is balked, which seems unlikely because it literally just constructs it. Just a bad run? Question mark. They're really grasping at straws when you just hope that you can run the test again and it all works. No, it's definitely having a bad time. I'm going to assume it's the P call. Let me just spin up a debugger. I don't know, that's see if we cannot ooh. Lua script. Oh my goodness! It's been so long since I've used Visual Studio. I can't remember how any of the keystrokes. Right? Okay. Lua script tests. I want to change the run. I want to run the tests under cancel. I want to run the tests under debug. Right. So that's launch JSON, build source. Is it test? Unit tests. Test. Let's check build tests. Unit tests exe. Okay, let's see if we can. Let's see if we can debug this. Okay, promising. Okay, fine. So, I've forgotten. I've been so used to using x86 debug. I've forgotten all the hotkeys. Right. So this Lua. It has got an object here. And Zanita. I wonder if it's to do with this, I reckon. So does it ever get there? Oh, have I think I know what's wrong. I think I misinterpreted the documentation. This reader function, every time it needs another piece of the chunk, calls the reader, passing the reader must return pointer. To signal the end of the chunk, the reader must return null or set size to 0. So it's going to be calling it again. It's stuck in this infinite loop, yeah. So the question is, on the second call, is that why it passes you the state? So I can query how much I've done. So the question is like, how do I tell I'm on the second call of this? Can I get like... Yeah, I'm just seeing if I can query the state. That's exactly what I'm looking up now. So let me just bring it up here. What I'm seeing... yeah, I don't really want to wrap it in more data passing it around. We could do that. But I want to see if can I just query like the amount of the chunkage, right? Like, can you tell me like how many chunks you've loaded? Lua. I don't want a binary chunk. Maybe what I'm doing is wrong. Because the way to fix this now, which is starting to feel a little bit gross. Dot source equals source dot counter equals 0, and then the data, and then this becomes and then just like if data counter does not equal 0, so null pointer, else okay, cool. Else size equals load data dot arrow source size load data counter plus plus return load data source data. It's a little bit gross, right? Yeah, so I thought about checking what the value is from the size, but there's nothing in the docs that say what that will be set to on the way in, so I can only assume I have to assume it's only an out parameter. Sorry, a bit gnarly anyway, without risking undefined behavior. Boom. Like that. We're luring, guys. We're doing it. We're doing the luring. So now I want to see if I can capture that as just a simple, a little bit of fun. So apparently we can do testing internal. Love relying on internal. Capture stood out. Run that, and then do const auto output equals testing internal get captured stood out, then assert equals output hello world. Yeah, it's a bit of fun. Okay, fine. Look at you with your print not putting a new line. I have to wait 40 years for print Ellen. That I think is actually pretty sweet. I quite like that. I think as a first pass. So there's a couple of things what I think we still need to do before we commit this up, before we finish congratulating ourselves. Is this. I think we have to clean up on the loading, because if this works, then we need to do Lua pop Lua.get is it just 0 at the top of the stack? Let's just check that blends, because what I want to try now is see what happens when we pass in a malformed script to check if we can detect that. Okay, fine. Tests. Lua script tests. So as if we pass in something that is like, get rid of that. So it's definitely, hopefully you can see that that is a malformed Lua script. So what happens with this? Oh, come on. It crashed? Get rid of all this. There we go. So it threw an exception. It's a bad script. Okay, so this should, I wonder which one, it must throw, it's going to throw this, right? Because it can't execute this. So, in which case, do we need a pop at the end? We'll find out in a minute when it will explode, when the stack's wrong, it will explode. So this should be, Right, is it expect throw, and then DT that, so creating that should throw, and it should throw a game exception. Yeah, it's true. Cool, okay. I think that's worthy of a commit. So let's see. Let's do. Honestly, I think this is actually kind of one. Actually, no, let's commit up I want that, and then that. So commit. So bring in lualib, and then the rest of this is all just one big commit, right? Add Lua script and tests. Cool. Okay, that's nice. Okay, so we can do that all through Lua pcall. Okay, or through Lua pop. Takes the number of elements to pop. Okay. Yes, I would agree. Indices at 1 is strange. Okay, right. Let's. So the way I'm going to do this is. Okay, thank you. So it's popping 0 elements. I thought it was the index that you popped. So it's going to be pop 1. Pops elements from the stack. Does this pcall will push a result onto the stack, right? So I think this is correct. So Lua is a stack-based language. You push stuff to its internal stack, and then you execute functions, and then it will consume those. Well, you have to push the function as well, I think, to the stack as well. It will consume those arguments, and then it will run the code, and it will push the result back. So pcall, but it's not executed a function though, has it? It's just executed the code, so there will be no result. There will be no return code, right? How can there be a return code if there's no function? Unless there's an implicit function. Otherwise, I could just let me just check. I need to pop after initial Lua pcall. That's not helpful at all. I'm going to leave it there. And I reserve the right to change it when it doesn't work. What a voyage of discovery this is for us all. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is do the script simple arg. So I actually want to do this now that I want to separate the code of pushing arguments to getting results, if that makes sense. Because those are 2 separate features. I want to implement them individually. So I should actually. The problem is I don't actually know Lua, the language. Oh, actually, this is. So this is what going to be like Lua. This is going to be like. No. Let's take a step back. Simple function call. And what I want to do is now wrap this in a function, which is something like function hello, print hello, end. So I want to load that into there, and then I want to be able to do something like script.call or invoke hello. Right, that's what I want. That's what I'm trying to get to. So this is, again, I'm trying to build up step by step without trying to get too far ahead of myself. So the next thing, we can execute script. The next thing to do is to be able to invoke functions. Then we want to be able to pass arguments into those functions, and then we want to be able to get arguments out. And then I think we've kind of got the basic functionality there. If that makes sense. Hopefully we're kind of. So I need to push the global or something. Hello. Let me have a think. I think I need to be able to like set the function. So I'm gonna treat this a little bit as a state machine. This API is going to be a little bit verbose, and then I'm going to hopefully wrap it all up in something a bit nicer, probably using templates. Yes, I'm also going to ham in like vector3 and stuff like that into the engine, and probably maybe even the message bus, so Lua can have some insight into that. But that's going to be kind of next. So what's the... Here we go. What's this? Calls a function. Lua calls a function. So to call this, I need to call get global with the function name. Okay, the function to be called. So that goes on there. And then we can call f with 3 arguments and 1 result. I think so. What I should be able to do is something like this. I don't think I'm going to use string views for any of these, because aren't they all... I reckon they're all going to expect null terminated strings, which is fine. It's just annoying. Yeah. I don't think there's like get global with a handle. It's fine. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. So auto set function constant string name void. Okay. What error does it catch? Does it catch a logic error, or does it catch a syntax error? Because I'm definitely going to want to test that. I definitely want to test that. If the code errors, I can handle it. But what does an erroring function look like? Like a divide by 0, or is it if I again drop the thing off here, then it won't load it? Or maybe try and do like an invalid cast or something. Is there an example in Pickle? Okay, fine. I'll have a look in a second. One thing at a time. So let's do the scripts. Can it be const? And then I think I want to do turns that type of value. So const auto ret type. Yes, okay, fine. Ret type equals Lua get global Lua.get name dot. See, then name will have a C-str, right? And then I want to ensure ret type equals what are the types? What are the types? It's like Lua function or something, isn't it? There's Lua float types. Where are those defined? Nope. Okay. Function. Oh, here we go. Lua type. Could have just checked that. Lua T function. Function else. Basically, if it gets anything else, then as anything else, then it'll be an error, and we can check for that as well. And then we should be able to do auto execute const void. Actually, no, that's going to be student, and then this is going to take stud uint32t num args stud uint32t num results. I'll spell all that right. Lua script. Yes, that's a good point. Let's do missing function name. And then here we can do I just want to to start with just do ensure Lua p call state Lua dot get num args num results. Isn't there another argument? In which case Lua p call messages. So hang on, let's have a look at this. Calls a function in protected mode. Both nargs and results have the same meaning in Lua call, blah, 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 blah. If there are no errors during the call, pcall behaves exactly like Lua call. However, if there are any errors, pcall catches it, pushes a single value on the stack, the error object, and returns an error code. Interesting. Like Lua call always removes the function and its arguments from the stack. If message is 0, then the error object return stack is exactly the original error object. Otherwise, message is the stack index of a message handler. We don't want any of that, so we want 0. Okay, fine. So then that would be 0. So in fact, actually, what we're going to want to do is if Lua p call doesn't equal Lua okay, then we're going to want to get the thing off the stack, right? So that is const auto res equals Lua to string. Lua L to string. Yeah. Line 58. I think you can just do this though to actually get the string off the stack, right? I think, do these pop it off the stack? No, they don't. It just gets it, doesn't it? Okay, fine. So this gets it. So what's the index? Is it... Okay, cool. Good to know. Yeah, what's this? Right, querying elements. We can also access elements using the top of the stack as our reference using negative indices. In this case, -1 refers to the element at the top. Right, so we do the toString -1. Okay, and then we do Lua pop Lua.state. Nope, get 1, pop that off the stack, and then we can do throw exception failed execute res. Is our exception not properly stood formatting? Yeah, we do, yeah. Ah, yes, because it just takes that. That's fine. That's fine. It's easy enough to do. Stood format. So, because we normally just use ensure, it's not very often we have to do that. Okay. Why do I use auto func name arrow, the trading return type? At this point, I just find it fun. There's no real need to use it. I just wanted to try it out to see if I liked it. Okay, let's see if this works. We're going to need to force this as well, but it looks like it was a pcall. Looking at the docs, it looked like one of the errors was runtime error, so we just need to generate a runtime error. I think I definitely want to raise a proper exception. Oh, I see what you mean. You could just use ensure false instead of this. Yes, I think that looks strange though. So I think doing it explicit, I should just fix up the exception to have a templated constructor. But here we are. Okay, let's have a look at our test. Let's see if this works. Oh yeah, that's cool. Something about defining it. Good idea. Call is not a member of Lua script. No, it's not. So actually now I need to do script dot set function hello. Cool, hello. Check the output. Get on with our lives. I wonder if I can. No, that's. I was going to say I could default those, but my plan is to not actually call this. My plan is to abstract all this against behind like a slightly better interface. But I need the verbosity of this interface to make that work, I think. He's not wrong because I've already set it. Panicked. Straight up panicked. Unprotected. Yes, I was thinking about that as well, yeah. But I've bigger fish to fry at the moment. In that unprotected error. I suspect it's to do with my stack shenanigans. Well, 00 is these aren't stack addresses. These are number of args and number of results. So like it doesn't matter what they index with. 0 args is still 0 args. I believe. I'm prepared to be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. What's weird though is that it's doing it in simple script now. So why is something what have we changed in the constructor, right? Is it this? Yeah, that doesn't seem right. Okay, it does not like that. I guess because it's not called a function. It's going to amend that commit because that's conceptually part of the previous one. I'm hoping that will just work for me. Okay. Does that work for the rest of them though? Like, that's cool. Okay, so we can call that. So simple function call test Lua missing function call. So this should now this set function should fail, right? So is this cert throw? Have I been using it right? It is a cert throw. Okay, fine. Okay, so we've got that. And then the other one we want to do is the actual error. So let's take that, set up there, and then do simple function. So let's do bad function call. Is that it, or do you have to invoke something? No, I think that's right. So this should now assert throw. Exception. Yeah. What? Oh, wait. I must have accidentally undone that. That's it. I'm pretty sure that should work. Nailed it. Okay, so let's comment this up. So it add simple function calls to Lua. Okay. So now I want to be able to pass arguments. So I think these are. Oh, in fact, we had some code, didn't we, somewhere which shows how to do this? Push integer, push literal, these kind of things. What's going on? Okay. Getting there. I really want to power through and get some of this groundwork laid. Even if we don't get onto the abstraction today, I kind of want to just power through this. So the next thing we're going to do is going to probably only add the arguments that we need. I imagine those are integers. And possibly floats. So what did we have for, what we got for set number? Those. Is it a set number? Push. Oh, it's a. What's a Lua number when it's at home? See Lua number. So it takes both ints and floats. Sure. Okay, that's fine. Is there a... What other pushes are there? What else can we push? Push nil, push number, push string, push thread, push value. Push integer, interesting. So we can actually separate those out. Push the integer. So what's a Lua integer when it's at home? Fuck sake. A Lua integer is a long, usually a 64-bit. I think if we just push in ints, that's probably fine. Yeah, so the colon prefix namespace means that it kind of has there's two reasons to do it in my mind. One of them is that it instantly starts off the autocomplete. So I type colon and now I can start searching for free functions and, you know, anything really. The other thing is it's more of a visual cue to me that this is something I didn't write. So I use this for all third-party code. So when I'm scrolling down here, I'll be like, oh yeah, I know I didn't write Lua load because it's got the colon preface. That's more of a personal idiom for me. You don't have to do it, but I quite like that. Okay, so let's do set function execute. Let's do yeah, doing some Lua stuff today. So let's set argument. I don't know. Stood int 32t value. Let's do constant string because it's easier to test with the existing setup we've already got. The scripts. The scripts. So I want to use Lua maybe for modding support, but mainly also for just like more like quicker iteration. I want to be able to define. A lot of this is like puzzles, and I want to be able to define those puzzles quicker without having to create a whole new C++ class, integrate it into CMake, build it, test it. I want to be able to just define it in Lua and run it and iterate faster. That's kind of my plan. Maybe even have hot swappableness in it. So we'll see. We shall see. So if I do push integer, it's a void function. Nice. There's literally nothing to do. I'm just going to go Lua push integer Lua dot get, and then oh no, it's not integer, isn't it? It's string. Literal. Oh, we can use string view. We can use string view. Look, push L string. Push the string to with size laying onto the stack. Lua makes. Including bits. Ah, yes. Haha. Take that. Take that, Lua. Okay, fine. So push. Well, I want push L string. Lua dot get value dot data value dot size. Okay. Elliot, thank you. Glad you're enjoying it. Avram, yeah, there's loads of different ways we can do this. I'm just kind of picking something that I think makes sense for us now. My view is like a relentless and aggressive march towards making a game, and make mistakes along the way and just fix them up and refactor them as we go. The script. Thank you. The heat is starting to get to me in here. Nice. I'm glad you're here to backseat. When does the next season start? Yeah, get arguments coming next. I'm trying to do this incrementally rather than trying to boil the ocean and do everything at the same time. I want to add a little bit of functionality, write some tests for it. Add a little bit of functionality, write some tests for it. Yeah, it's like one of the, would you say, 10, maybe 15 good days of weather we get in the UK, I think. And we're experiencing, I think we're going to get most of them this week, and then hopefully we'll be back to raining. So let's do simple. Let's just do fairly simple. Let's do function calls single arg. That is true. If it does line up, it is more likely to be warm if it massively inconveniences someone. So if we just wrap this, and then let's take all this gubbins. So it's in here, H, and do find my print, and then do script dot set argument hello world, and that should work. That died, that crashed. We'll fix that in a second. There's a good question. So do I have experience in trying new languages like Zig, J, Odin and Rust? I'll answer that one first. The answer is no, but I should and I would like to. I mentioned this before, the two things I'm chronically short of are time and hair, and it's very hard to kind of get more of those. I would really like to sit down. I always get asked what my opinion on Rust is, and my opinion is I don't have one because I've not used it. I would love to sit down and spend some time with Rust. I think that might be an interesting stream. I'd like to, maybe after this, take a break and then maybe implement something in C++, in Odin, in Rust, in Zig, and maybe kind of have a play around with them and what we think. I think that might be an interesting concept. Hey. I wish I could sleep a third of the day. I do not get enough sleep. C++ is in a bit of a weird state. They can't really, regardless of what you think about design by committee, I don't think the language. I'm not in the committee, right? I don't write papers. I'm not in that side of the language. I'm only an outside observer, and I kind of feel they don't really know what they want at the moment. There's this massive panic to try and introduce like pour more safety like into the top of the language, and I'm not convinced that is going to end quite how everyone hopes it will. But at the end of the day, it's an interesting language. It's fun to program in, for me, for some people. The kind of problems that it solves, I think, are interesting problems, because again, a language is just a tool, right? And certain tools are better at certain things. The things that C++ is good at, I think, are interesting problems. Whether it will always be the right language for that, I don't know. I suspect it will become harder and harder to justify writing int main in C++ and do new tooling and new things in other languages. Tools can't last forever. I don't really know. That's kind of my opinion on it. Yes, epic short. I fundamentally do not agree with I'll say that again. I fundamentally do not agree with language jingoism, right? The idea that your language is somehow better than the others and to belittle others for doing it. It's an absolute waste of time and a waste of effort, and you'd be better off doing something else. I like C++. I enjoy doing it. That's why I choose to do it in my spare time in front of, like 100 people, twice a week. It has a good discourse. There's lots of interesting things to talk about. The kind of problems we can solve are interesting. It doesn't mean I'll be doing it for the rest of my life. Yeah, got to say it correctly for the short. I'm bashing those out. I'm trying to do one short a day at the moment. Those don't come easy. People don't like C++ because there's a couple of reasons. It is a very complex language, right? It's easy to make a mistake. It tries to be all things to all people, so it's very hard to get an idea of what is best practice and what is good idioms and paradigms. There is no, there's no Pythonic way of doing things for C++. And the error messages are grim, and the compile times are long. And the tooling is terrible. So do you know what I mean? There's a lot to not like. But if you can kind of see through that, I don't know. I think it's a bit of fun. There is no total ordering of languages, right? Such that one is demonstrably better than the other, because that would then imply that there is one single true language that is better, and that's just obviously not true. Here's another question. So could I hot reload with DLL? Yeah, of course, but like, again, part of this series, the main part of this series is to write a game. The other part is to kind of teach a bit and showcase what you can do with modern C++ and kind of have a bit of fun and have a bit of a discourse. So I think showing people how to wrap, how I would wrap like a C API and provide a C++ interface into that, I think has value, which is why I choose to do it. Yeah, wide and no clear guidelines, I think. See, I don't even agree that, like, I can't, I assume, well, I hope you're being kind of glib, but I don't think demonstrably that Java is a terrible language. There's a lot of like enterprise software and value delivered to businesses through Java. It's just a tool, right? And it's accomplished a lot. Well, I think this is Quecco's got a really interesting point here. If you're trying to, I feel really sorry for people learning C++ now because you've got what 50 years of baggage, right? It is defined by a document that is 2,000 pages long. It is very hard to remove things from the language, but it is comparatively easier to add things. So the language only gets bigger. What you tend to do is add newer, better, safer ways of doing the old things by adding new things. So the best practices and the idioms and the paradigms naturally shift over time because C++ X comes out and it's fixed the problems with C++ X minus 3 by adding some new construct. So depending on when you look and where the advice you get is and when it was written, it might not be current. So that kind of adds a whole new shifting dimension to learning the language. But yeah, why is my Lua crashing? I think I've got just about enough before I expire from a heat stroke. I think I've got about enough mental faculty left to fix this, and then I think we're maybe pop an argument, and then I think we're probably good to call it for the day. But don't go away yet. We've still time for more bugs. You have to effectively define a subset to learn C++, I think, and you have to be prepared to admit that some things are just the way they are, and like you should be confident and happy to take time to go deep on those things, but you have to be cognizant that there are rabbit holes that you could go down, and sometimes you just have to be like, okay, I'm going to accept this as fact and move on, and I'll come back to that later. You kind of need a deferred learning approach because there's a knife edge, right, that you have to walk. On one side is like a rabbit hole where you'll get frustrated and don't make any progress, and the other side is not learning enough about it to actually make the full use of the language. Two minutes, yeah, but I keep gassing. So okay, right. Let's crash. Let's get a debugger up because I'm more interested in this. Yeah, okay. Structured exception handler. Okay, fine. Oh, I've got a breakpoint. Okay. Stupid. Curiouser and curiouser. Is it expecting a null byte? Or is that that's just a breakpoint? Okay, fine. Never mind. Where am I? What? Where am I throwing X? A? Okay. Here we go. Right. It's not really helping me, this. I must admit. A lot of this is G-test crap I don't care about. So what? This right? Okay. Execute through. I think that's what we can kind of glean from this. Oh, and it's captured stood out. That's why. My exceptions not being printed to just. Well, it can only throw from here, right? Just gonna remove that for a second. See what the computer says. Actually, I suspect there is an easy way of doing this, right? I just need to go to the script CPP and set a breakpoint here. Oh, stupid! I just just clicked off it. Attempt to call a string value. Have I pushed them in the wrong order? Is that what I've done? This is why I want to write a better abstraction. Do I push the Do I push the arguments first and then the function? No. Wait. Whoa. That's wrong. We can check that by putting all this gubbins back in and then putting that up here, there, and everywhere. I would agree, nil. The string literal nil followed by a new line does not equal hello world. Where's it? What? Where's it fabricated that out from? No, this doesn't make it. Look, their example here, they call get global function, and then they put the first argument on. And then they call it. Yeah. I think it's kind of terrifying that works. Okay. Oh, what a great spot. Thank you. And this is why I want to abstract all this away. My num args is indeed 0. Oh, great spot. Right. There we go. Okay, fine. So add. I feel like problem is because it's stack based, you can't check that's going to be an error unless you. So add argument passing to functions. Okay, now let's just see if we can quickly get a result back. So let's do test the script function call get single arg, because I do want to support multiple returns from this. I do want the Lua to be able to return multiple arguments from a function, and you get them back as a tuple. So now I don't want that. I want to be able to return 42. Get num. So set function get num, and then execute, and then I need to do something like the script auto get result. Output. No, I think because again, this is not the abstraction, right? This is the halfway house for the abstraction I want to build. So I'm happy to kind of be a little bit more lax on this. Absolutely not as a game with void pointer. Absolutely not. Rather delete all the code. Because you can't. Normally, I would do get integer, get string, get blah, 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 blah. But because I know I want to template this, I'm going to need to have them all the same name. And you can't overload a function just on the return type, which is a little bit annoying. So I will have to just use these as out parameters. Good spot. I think I probably would have figured that out because I was going to have to do this, but let's do it now before we forget. The script. And then what's going to be, I think I need to like ensure that Lua, is number, Lua dot get -1, right, result not an integer. What is? Oh, I bet it doesn't. It's C, isn't it? So it won't return a Boolean type. That would be too obvious. Is number. Returns 1 if the given value or a string to a number and 0 otherwise. Great. So it's equal to 1. And then I should be able to do result equals Lua to number to integer. I don't think I want the x. Is it to integer? Lua dot get. Let's get the top one off as that. And then do the old poppity. I think that's right. How do you check if what happens if you Is this well defined if you have an empty stack, or is it undefined? Oh, well done. Good spot. I will go and check that. We might need to check if the stack is empty or not. That is a good point. I don't... Lua is stack empty. Get top. Yeah, what's this? Turns the number of arguments received. Oh, there you go. C function must use the following protocol, which defines the process. So when the function starts, Lua get top L returns the number of arguments received by the function. The first argument, if any, is index 1. Does that mean we can check if we've passed the right number of arguments? So we should integrate that. Top. Yes, but what about the return? What do I do to check that I've got the right number of return results, or how many, or the stack is empty? Oh, are we saying that it won't be 0? I'm going to come back to that because I think we're pretty close. We might just do that the first thing next stream. I think we're reasonably close to getting this bit done. So that's so const auto res equals script dot get. Nope. Int t auto res, get that in a minute, stud int 32 t, and then script dot get result res 42. Should I be doing 64-bit integers instead? Nice. Okay, cool. Okay, so I think what we want to do is so we want to do ensure Lua get top doesn't equal 0, as in like no results to get. And then we want to do execute ensure Lua get top equals num args arg count mismatch. Args, okay, and we can quickly check those, right? So let's do so function call get no arg, right? So if we don't return this, then we would expect this to assert throw. Yes, I'm also starting to melt. Oh, is it? Get top return. Fine. Cast. We'll just get top return. Int. I can't imagine we are going to be passing so many arguments that this is going to be a concern. It was warm. I wasn't been checking the temperature. I don't know. I can't imagine anyone's going to dox me by telling me what, even if they know what temperature was in the UK at a given point. But honestly, I don't know. It was pretty warm. Only one stood out capture can exist at a time. Where have I? What? And simple function call. What? Why is simple? What? I'm very confused. Why is that suddenly only one stood out capture can exist at a time? Yeah, I know. I've only got one at a time, right? Then these tests will run in serial, and these are not. Well, I thought I ended this test, right? And I just added a bunch of ensures. What? That crashes. What have I changed? I don't think it likes this. Yeah, okay. Well, I think that's fine. Yeah, you're right. It probably needs to be greater than or equal to. Although, is that actually even a useful test? Because if there's a bunch of stuff on the stack and I just don't give it one argument, is that really going to help? Anyway, I think that's fine. Let's see. Add result getting from functions for 42. Exciting. Okay. Yes. So I don't think that was a particularly good test. A good check. So what's next? So next stream, basically there's two. I think there's two features I want left out of Lua. One is integration into the engine types, so Vector3, Quaternion, maybe message bus, that kind of thing. So that's just plumbing, but I think it's useful to do. The other one is I want to write a better abstraction for script runner, so we can just template it and say, here's the stuff I'm getting, blah, blah, blah. So we'll do that next. Sure, I think we'll just bash that out and then we can start writing some levels in it. I use LazyGit. That's what I use. I use it on the command line, but I also have the NeoVim. It's a command line tool, but there's a NeoVim plugin which just brings it up. So all I have to do is is it leader LG, and then it brings it up. But I can just do LazyGit on the terminal, and I get the same thing. Sorry, I know the window is tiny. Hopefully you saw that. Space, the correct leader key. Again, obviously not. The correct one is whichever one you use. What do you use? If you say something like carry, I'm gonna ban you. Go on then. Thank you, Greco. Go on then. What's the correct leader key? What I Okay, what I want, right, is I really want to. Let me bring this back up. I really want a Vim clutch. Okay, it's quite old. This project is 14 years old, but basically, it's a pedal, and then when you hold it down, it goes into insert mode, and when you take it off, it's command mode. So to type in, you just press the clutch, and then type, and then let go. My only concern is, one, it's ridiculous, and two, I think if I used it, I would be so muscle memory into it. I'd be like, oh, sorry, I can't work today. I don't have my Vim clutch pedal, and I would just look absolutely ridiculous. So, again, maybe not, but I do like the idea. I know Elgato, the people who make most of my streaming setup, have pedals, so I'm kind of maybe just take one of those. I don't know. Yes, if you know Lua, do help me because I don't know Lua, so it'd be kind of good to get some expert opinion on it. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed that. Let's see if there's anyone to raid on the Twitch side because I've not done that in a while. In a while. We've not had a. I need to bring back the voting as well. I think I feel we're missing out a lot by not voting on my misery. I'll try and do that next time as well. Anyone doing C++? Same category. Oh my goodness, I really just don't know how to use computers. No, apparently not. No on C++ today. Oh, wait, hold on. Someone's textures in OpenGL. Let's do that. Okay, I've set that up. Thank you very much for coming along. Hope I'm having a good time. We'll see you Sunday? Sunday. We'll do more Lua Sunday. It'll be a good time. Hope everyone who's experienced excessive heat continues to manage. And for everyone else, I'll see you then. Thanks very much.